without peer, Amon. However do you conceive of such delightful experiments?
This music's reminded me of Heavensward. Like, it's not quite there, but it's like it's...
That fool was beside himself with panic when he
a
awoke with the head
remixed
of a
version.
bull. Even his cries for help emerged as so much guttural lowing. Oh, the memory of it. My poor sides. My friends and I were so consumed by laughter we struggled to breathe. No more than entertainment for bored wastrels ignorant of its worth. My all-consuming work. But it was not their only indulgence. For they were ever hungry for stimulation, slaves to the slightest hint that amusement was afoot. Our nation was ailing, but I would see the poison purged. I resurrected a legend, our first and greatest emperor. And just as I had planned, he set our wayward empire back on the path of conquest. An inexhaustible ambition carried us onwards, always onwards. Yet, he who delivered to us such glory was not to be satisfied.
Heed me, Armon. No matter how vast one's empire, or full one's treasure vault, all is rendered meaningless by death. In the end, all is lost.
You know as well as I that the Emperor stands to lose this war, and so I have come to claim you. For while your methods leave something to be desired, we cannot deny the results of your work. And as fortune would have it, the seat of Van Daniel, your rightful seat, lies vacant and waiting. Take your place amongst your peers, rather than die a pointless death amidst the ashes of your doomed nation. Send one of your clones to the Crystal Tower that you might see for yourself. See what lies ahead.
So it winds up that he's actually a
The
clone.
Empire affirmed the truth. Majestic and tragic, as the Emperor foresaw. Scheme as you like, build as you will, nothing endures. What is life but a brief jaunt ending in emptiness?
So easily distracted. Why, I almost left without saying farewell. As for your friend, you needn't worry. These pawns are far more useful to me alive as fuel for the primates. If you attempt to pull them free, they will die. So, enjoy tackling that conundrum with your comrades. We shall meet again! Not in one of these minor spires, oh no, but somewhere more suitably grandiose. Your favorite playmate is ever so eager to see you.
Well, that's not ideal. Ah, you were returned. But where is Mistress Nidhana? Minutia Preserve. So we had succeeded in making the talisman. I must report this at once. Meanwhile, please return to the great work. That works. Something's gone awry, hasn't it? What happened? So it was from Daniel after all. Damn that. I'm sure you wanted to do more, but you're right to return here first. We must tread warily, lest we endanger Nidhana and the other captives. First, we must inform everyone of the situation, Hannah's colleagues included. I'd call them together for a gathering, but it would be best if you were the one to explain. Oh, did Hannah? Can you answer me this? Though Nidhana is trapped in the tower, she's still alive, yes? Then we must make warding scales, as many as we can. Oops, that was her talking. The prototype works perfectly. This Nidhana proved a peril to herself. So let's make more scales, that she and all those who were taken might be saved. Aye, as alchemists, this is how we will help win the fight. My friends, the satrap has been made aware of this tragedy. He offers his heartfelt condolences and reiterates his pledge to provide you with all that you require. To this end, he bade me give you this link pearl, that he might personally discuss the production of the warding scales with you. Have you, Ariosian visitors? I bear an invitation. In her report, Mistress Nidhana noted your vital contribution to the talisman's creation. This fact came to the satrap's attention, and in recognition of your deeds, he wishes to meet you. In addition to thanking you in person, we'd also discuss further avenues of collaboration. So, if this is agreeable, we as a company to Radzatan for an audience with His Excellency. We should be honoured, of course. Closer cooperation between lands can only be to the benefit of all. Then it's settled. Please come to the gates of the East Giant Skull grounds. I will show you into the city. Yeah, something's telling me I should probably have had a bit more of a break between doing Final Fantasy stuff. But at the same time, I also want to get through this story. I've heard it's amazing, so I do want to see it. But at the same time, with how much story stuff I've gone through recently, it's been like pretty much non-stop. Where are we actually headed? Oh, so it would actually be up top, that's good. Ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-bum. Ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-bum. All present? Then let us proceed. Owing to the threat of the tower, the city is currently in a state of high alert. Strict restrictions are in place for entry. You have been granted special permission. I ask that remain close to me at all times.
A vast rock squats upon Favnir, and to its stony surface clings the city of Rods at Han. Ye who enter here are subject to the scrutiny of gods, the gate's most watchful eye. The orb which beholdeth the truth of all things.
Alright.
Pass beneath its hot and piercing gaze, bearing down like a second midday sun. The fragrant haze, a mixture of sweet incense and acrid smoke. The cries of merchants mingled here with lively melodies accented by dancers' feet. Travelers seduced by vivid sound and colors were once swallowed up by patchwork streets. But no such scenes to savor now. To what somber present does that divine eye bear witness?
Here we are, Megadota. seems a shame to bring you here directly. Under normal circumstances, it would have been my pleasure to show you the sights.
And it would have been our pleasure to see them. Alas, it seems our tour of the city will have to wait.
I'm afraid so. Come, we should head inside.
Such a slow walk.
Your Excellency, may I present our honored visitors?
Ah, splendid. Most splendid. Allow me to introduce myself. I am Ahawan, satrap of Radzat-Han. Our alchemists tell me your assistance was invaluable in the creation of the warding scale. Such deeds ought to be recognized in person. Thus did I have young Varshan convey you here forthwith. On behalf of my people, may I express to you our sincere gratitude.
Not everything went to plan.
I assume you speak of Nidana. A regrettable incident indeed. Her colleagues insist that we honor her wishes and trust in the talisman. That it will be instrumental in saving Nidana and the others. I am eager to hear your opinion on the matter, so let us not stand on ceremony. Come, sit.
I think not. This charade has gone on long enough. Show yourself.
Forgive me, but were you expecting musicians, perhaps? There are no performers waiting in the wings at present, but arrangements could be made if you prefer.
Nay, he hath the right of it. The time for artifice is past. Raise the curtain.
As you wish.
You travel as assistants to the students of Valdesian, but you are known to me. Even here have we heard of the scions of the Seventh Dawn. I am Vritra, and for years uncounted hath this isle served as mine abode.
Cool.
The first group, sibling to Hraesvelga and Nidhogg.
I, mine elder brothers, of Midgardsormr's spawn, I was last to hatch.
Well, isn't this a surprise? We were told Radzat-Han had an alliance with a dragon. Not that a great worm sat in a satrap's own hall.
A necessary subterfuge, as the true tale of our nation history illustrates most effectively. In the beginning, the rock upon which our city is built was home to Vitra, and Vitra alone. In time, the ancestors of the Matanga came to the island and established a foothold. But never did they dare disturb the worm's lair. Next to arrive with the Aura, adopting the example of their Akasodra allies, they too treated Vitra with reverence and respect. And for many years, an understanding between our forefathers and the Great Worm endured. Until marauding heroes from the mainland came, threatening to shatter our peace and tranquility. When it seemed all would be drowned in blood, Vitra himself came forth and quelled the rising conflict. a peaceful accord was reached, and oaths sworn in Vitra's name. Thus began the dragon's governance of the fledgling state, which was to grow into Radz at Han.
But if Ritra is still here, then your position as Satrap is just...
A charade. Yes. And one which my family has performed faithfully for generations.
Many envy the great worms their power. Were it known that I ruled here, and the fires of war would burn without end, I would not be the flame which consumeth my people. Those few who joined me in laying our country's foundations were, perforce, sworn to secrecy.
Your eye. It was taken.
"'Tis here, buried within the semblance of flesh. The body before thee is but a simulacrum, constructed by the finest artisans of Razatan. With mine eye nestled within, it doth serve as an inconspicuous vessel for my will."
Okay, so I was kind of right with that one.
That would explain why I felt the presence of a dragon upon our first meeting.
I am woven with words fashioned to deceive such arcane senses. Though 'twas short-lived, it seemeth thy fusion with my brother hath left thee much altered. Estinian warm-blood. From the very first, we sensed the nature of one another, yet did neither one of us bear his fangs. That is all I need know of thee for now.
With my secret thus revealed, I have for you a proposal. Not as a worm of the first brood, but as the ruler of Radz at Han. With all haste must we take in hand the finished talismans and breach this foul spire. Thence, should it lay within our power, dispel its wicked influence, yet even with the assurance of the warding scales, the narrow confines of the tower doth limit the size of our force.
And thus denied strength in numbers, thou must choose thy soldiers with care.
Just so. Yet though our radiant host is formidable, I see a sure path before me. Thou and thy comrades have contended with a multitude of primal beings. Most recently, thou didst cast down false gods in Pagathan and Kartanau, I am told. 'Tis upon that strength I would call. The scions have proven themselves the most capable, and I ask that you serve as the tip of our spear. Talismans would, of course, be provided for each of thy companions, and should you agree to this undertaking, more will be provided to make use of as you see fit.
There's no denying it's a dangerous proposition, but the rewards may far outweigh the risk. Just think of what we might accomplish if we could equip all our allies with warding scales. I worry, however, that even the four of us may be too few for what you have in mind. Might we regroup with our friends first to discuss the matter?
'Tis no trifling task that I have laid before you. Go, steel your hearts and hone your plans. Such time as you require shall be spent in crafting your protective charms.
It seems a quick trip back to Charlian, is it?
your request be made as a great worm, or the ruler of Rads at Han, I see no reason to refuse, nor will I.
I am in thy debt.
Pull the curtain back down. Meeting took a rather unexpected turn, but we now have a clear objective ahead of us. Let's rejoin our comrades in Shalien and muster a suitable crew for our foray into the Tower of Zot. Oh, if you haven't already done so, be sure to attune to the Aetheryte here before departing, unless of course you enjoy violent nausea. Do they mean like in here? No? I'm assuming they just mean like either here or here. Or both. Right, Old Shalien is nearly empty. That's not good. Not what I expected either. Dum, bum, bum, ba-dum, bum. Just as I was getting used to balmy Thavnair, back in chilly Shalien. They care not to catch your death, eh? Need you for the battles to come. Now then, your investigation here remains. When that's over, we can take stock of our developments and discoveries. Before we actually go for this quest, I shall just need to bring it back really quick. Alright, sorry about that. Just needed to change my t-shirt because it was feeling really uncomfortable. What did I set back to the... Yeah, I did. Good. An unsettling change has come over Shalien, but together we will divine the unsettling cause for the Forum's callousness. As I mentioned before, however, Questioning the councillors directly is a fruitless endeavour. They seem to have already come to a consensus as to what and how little they are willing to divulge. Is why I began scouring Shaline's archive of historical records for any hint of a connection to the final days. Suffice it to say that the progress has been slow. There are only so many dusty pages one can skip through in a day. But we now have a band of willing reinforcements. The search should proceed all the swifter. Let's reconvene outside of Numenon, shall we? Exit the annex to the right, and you'll find the archives on the western edge of the woods. Starting to think I should have probably done this bit first. Then we could have moved over to Rods at Hahn afterwards. Pardon me, considering we're pretty much going to be going back there anyway, I imagine. Oh, it's Beavis. It's Bevis. My directions were easy enough to follow, I hope. In any case, you stand now before the doors of the Numenon, Shaline's grandest collection of books and tomes. This building is actually only an entrance, and one of many at that. The archives of Numenon extend deep beneath the surface, like it's the roots of a tree. The vast halls of the Great Gubal Library pale in comparison to Numenon's endless maze of subterranean chambers. Any citizen of Shaline is free to enter and peruse its shelves. Well, most of its shelves. Only Archons are afforded access to certain restricted vaults. Dispatch Ishtola and Raha to investigate those. Meanwhile, Alize, Alfino... Meanwhile, Alize and Alfino will help me continue my search through the stacks open to the general public. Your status presents more of a problem. As a non-citizen, you are only permitted to browse the first floor here at the entrance. Even so, there should be a number of books which touch Shaline's history or foreign policy. Your task will be to find and study the relevant publications. Hi, Ruth. I promise you a working knowledge of those subjects will make it far easier to spot the sort of clues we're looking for. Let's be about it, shall we? I've told the others to meet us at the stone benches over there once we've found some promising tomes. Happy reading! I'm only allowed to look through floor 1. The Story of Shaline, yeah, we'll take that one. Long, long ago, on an island in the northern sea, there lived a Rodigan man by the name of Nuenkrep. Nuenkrep was a student of astrology, and he divined that a flood of terrifying proportions would soon sweep over the lands of Eorzea. So it was that he built a gigantic ship, assembled a crew, and set sail for that imperiled realm. The flood arrived as foretold, and to their horror, the strangely churning waters drove the people towards the ocean. It was there, however, that Nuenkrep's crew hauled them aboard his ark. But the danger had not yet passed. A towering wave approached, threatening to smash the vessel to pieces. With only moments to spare, Nuenkrep wove a mighty spell of teleportation and shifted the entire ship safely to the top of Abalathia's spine. Refugees from the surrounding regions huddled there alongside them. But it was not long before disputes over dwindling supply of food led to a violent led to violence and bloodshed. Saddened by the sight, Neon Krebs gathered to him and his crew, his grateful passengers, and abandoned the Ark to those reddened peaks. They journeyed to the coast, where they built a new ship, intent on returning to the northern seas. They landed on the beach of an island, settled upon that very spot. The settlement prospered and grew, and in time it became the city of Sharlayan, we live in to this day. Cool. I'll be honest with this, it's going a bit slow, but it always is a bit slow when you're first starting in an expansion. What's this one? Roads of Old, no. What here? Voice of a Growing City, no. Oh, it's like it actually just says of the relevant subject, so we could actually just read through all these. Many years ago, on the banks of Thaliak and the Dravanian hinterlands, a Sharlayan colony once thrived. The settlement was originally established as a mere outpost to study the ethereal sea in the year 1311 of the 6th Astral Era. Scholars dispatched to Eorzea found the facilities wanting, and their demands encouraged a gradual extension in structure and services. As rumours spread of a growing community of academics, the area was further inundated with Eorzean students, hoping to share in the renowned wisdom of the Sharlayans. 50 years later, the Forum passed a motion to recognise what had become a flourishing town as an official Sharlayan colony. Eorzean residents took to calling the colony itself Sharlayan, which led to no small amount of confusion when discussion turned to the subject of the motherland. In response, Sharlayan inhabitants, if pressed for a name, would simply refer to it as Emporium. Following the Great Exodus, however, goblins and treasure hunters claimed for themselves a corner of the abandoned colony, and gave it yet another name, Idelsha. The following chapters go on to introduce the most prominent features of Idelsha. The book does not appear to contain additional information on the Forum, or cover the history of Sharlayan motherland in great detail. The voice of a growing city. In the years which followed the founding of Sharlayan, civic policy and other matters of import were decided at the Ecclesia, a public forum at which every citizen was eligible to speak. As the city's population grew, however, this format became increasingly impractical. The larger number of participants gave rise to even longer debates, resulting in significant delays of vital resolutions. Various measures were introduced in an attempt to curtail protracted discussions, but in the year 201 of the 6th Astral Era, it was ultimately decreed that Sharlayan would transition to a new form of governance. The nation would now be led by a body of 99 members, citizens chosen from amongst their peers, by means of a nationwide vote. Thus was the Forum as we know it today conceived and created. There's a few more books. I need to make sure I don't actually pick the right one. An introduction to the heavens. That sounds like it wouldn't be one. Have you ever gazed at the sky above and contemplated the mystery contained therein? I speak not of shifting cloud patterns, but the vastness beyond, of the sun and the twinkling tapestry of the night. Some think the dome above us to be a finite space, yet amongst the leading thinkers of our age, one scholar's depiction of a boundless sea of stars has firmly taken root. Alas, this heavenly sea remains an unreachable, unknowable destination. There are few indeed who can explain in satisfactory detail why our own star is believed to revolve around the sun. It was technologists of Alag who became closest to understanding the laws which govern that starry abyss. And it was they who launched Dalamud and sought to expand beyond our earthbound existence. Having read their ancient ambitions, I wonder, has your interest in the field of study waxed or waned? What if I were to tell you the eternal constellations were arranged differently in the distant past, that their positions continue to shift amongst the imperceptibly but measurably as we journey into the future? Would it shock you to learn that the stars drift further and further apart, and may indeed do so forever? Are you eager to learn more? This book is on the wrong subject. Search for works which contain details on the forum, or mention the history of Shaolin. I'll do what I want. Forever 27. My beloved seekers of knowledge, have you ever put learning before your health, and neglected to feed and rest your body as you should? I too once engaged in such foolish practices, but one night, engrossed in philosophical study, I had an epiphany. For all the world's mysteries that drive us to reckless abandon, we have so very few years in life which to achieve our goals. Thus do I share with you this mantra: I am forever 20 summers young. The number itself is unimportant. You could be 19 or 23 or 40. Whatever age you are when you discover this manual, let that be the age you aspire to remain. Through mindful, healthy living, you will extend the time available to spend upon your chosen research. Another day, another moon, another summer to grasp the greater truths of your pursuit. The pages that follow, we will explore the secrets of maintaining one's physical condition from a biological, ethereological, and arcane viewpoint. The book is on the wrong subject. Search for works which contain details on the forum, or the history of Shaolin. There's a puppet. Stewards of Wisdom, that sounds like a Shaolin one. Do we have any more books? I don't wanna like find out that I missed a really cool little story. Okay, that's literally the last one. Oh yeah, there's also quite a few flaws. During the chaos of the 6th Umbral Calamity, Archon Yunkrep, founder of Shaolin, bore witness to the madness and savagery of men brought to the brink of despair. Upon raising a settlement on an island in the northern Empty, he instructed his people thus: renounce the ways of war, and pursue enlightenment through knowledge and reason. The Shaolins took to heart the words of their savior, and thenceforth served as stewards of wisdom. Upon a foundation of accumulated learning, they built a homeland unlike any other, a nation born from strength of minds rather than strength of arms. With knowledge of economics came shrewd trading. With knowledge of agriculture came bountiful crops. Engineering brought wells and sewers, ending squabbles over water. Wealth of expertise could be bartered for wealth in coin. And the more their wisdom spread throughout the world, the more mankind as a whole would thrive. And so it was no matter of the trials and tribulations of the age. The citizens of Sharlayan would live by their founders' teachings. For the sake of a better tomorrow, for the sake of a brighter star, they would eschew the tools of war. With knowledge, deliver the world. You've gained a fundamental understanding of the Sharlayan history and the foundation of the Forum. Head outside to rendezvous the point. To the rendezvous point. And await your companions. Meow. I don't remember those glowing before. Eh. I'll be the quickest done because I only get access to one floor. Sorry, were you waiting long? I want to make sure I borrowed at least a few promising volumes. Afternoon Trial should be along shortly. I was delayed in a similar fashion. As you can see, no titles in the Archon stacks mention the final day specifically, so we have no choice but to start with the tangentially relevant tomes, if they are even that. At present, the plan is to skim through them as quickly as we dare and share our discoveries as we make them. It would be nice to invite everyone to the estate and leave comfortable places to read. A ready supply of hot tea. Oh, I was quite fond of reading outside. That's not about the little pleasures, is it? You miss your home. It's been difficult. After our arrival, we managed to speak with one of the family servants and ask how things were. It seems our dear father has instructed the staff that even if Alfino and I were to return to Sharlayan, we were not to be allowed across the threshold. A harsh measure indeed. I hope the efforts to understand his position and that of the Forum will perhaps lead to a reconciliation. I'll mend this rift one day, I'm certain of it. What of you, Graha? Have you been to visit your family, or do they not live here in the city? Ah, well, my situation is also somewhat complicated. I was raised in Sharlayan, yes, but I was born rather further away. The southern reaches of Ilsabard, in fact. For generations my people have dwelt in Corvos, a coastal region opposite the island of Thavnir. The Elgans formed a city in that fertile land and by ship brought the subjugated tribes of Mikote to serve as labourers. Of course, the massive earthquakes of the Fourth Umbral Calamity brought an end to the Empire's reign. And when the Fifth Umbral Calamity froze the sea solid, many of the tribes still living in Corvos braved the journey back to Eorzea. My ancestors, however, chose to remain, that they might prevent the remnants of the Allegan technology from being misused. Is it Corvos under Garlean rule? For the past 50 years, yes. Some semblance of local culture remains, as is the case for most imperial provinces, but Galmeld renamed the region Locus Amonis. Aminus? I think it'd be Aminus. It's like amoeba. When I was a boy, A nearby town came under jurisdiction of an illustrious imperial family, nobles of House Darnus. House Darnus demonstrated a singular interest in elegant civilization, and so my tribe was forced to consider a plan of action. For some time, voices have been raised in favor of abandoning our ancient customs. After all, the Alganai no longer passed to our eldest children as reliably as it once had. Fear of discovery eventually tipped the scales. The decision was made to bury our ties to the knowledge and traditions of Alak. As the last child born with the Alganai, I was given over to the custody of the friends and the students of Baldessian, who had me registered as a Sharlayan citizen. I never even considered. Forgive me, that was an unkind question. Even Thancred was taken in by Akan Louisois, was he not? Stories of adopted waifs and rescued orphans are more common among Sharlayans than you'd think. Yet, regardless of our origins, we are all provided with equal opportunity to learn. Apologies. And with sufficient that is a weird word. Perspicacity? Yeah. We outsiders can even earn the vaunted title of Archon. It is exactly why I have such love for this country, and why I wish it to remain a nation of which its citizens can be proud. Here. Another reason to get to the bottom of the foreign's stubbornness, aside from the trifling matter of our impending doom. Excuse us while we try to make some headway into the books. Our company should be arriving any moment now. We've returned with our selections. Although I must say the pickings were rather slim indeed. Mistress Krile has already flicked through every history book devoted to the disasters, and more than a few which barely made mentions of them. As such, we'll be looking into research papers on the Umbral calamities, as well as articles written by the prominent forum members. Perhaps their knowledge of the final days comes from an unexpected source. Speaking of which, might I ask you a few questions related to the final days? I'm the only one here who didn't witness the events of Amaro firsthand, and I fear I may be overlooking critical details. My thanks. Now, where to begin? First things first, what kind of phenomena did the ancients encounter as the final days drew nigh? As it drew nigh, there was a destabilization of creation magics because all stuff started popping into existence that shouldn't, I believe. Yes, the unfolding catastrophe wrought havoc in all manner of life. Chaos extended to the ancients themselves, causing their powers of creation to spiral out of control. Fear and despair manifested in terrible, tangible fashion. Meteors raining from the sky, fire erupting from the ground, indescribable abominations prowling the streets. More or less aligns with my understanding. If only the arts of creation have survived until the present day, we might have had something substantial to analyze. The To the best of our knowledge, however, those techniques were not preserved or passed on. Stoller surmises that the closest known magic is that of summoning rituals promulgated by the Ascians. Was there aught else of note which heralded the approach of the final days? Begin with a keening sound from the land itself. Ah, yes, the MRI team spoke of it, did they? We never did hear of the sound ourselves, of course, thrust as we were into the midst of the madness. But it seems that each and every one of the catastrophes was preceded by this ominous noise. Eventually it resounded across all the star, and not even Amarat was spared. So, the crowd was crying out, you say? To be considered the harbingers of doom. It must have been quite distinctive, and probably quite loud. I have to speak with one of Numenon's mammoths, and have to ask after any books which make mention of such a sound. Last but not least, would you describe how the ancients sought to quell this unprecedented calamity? What definitive action did they take? Someone hiding. They knocked Dalamuth from the sky. To prevent that, they summoned Zodiac. Yes, with Elidibus serving as his heart. So many gave themselves in sacrifice to bring him into being. We do not know exactly how Zodiac brought salvation to the star, only that it, by his godlike will, were the laws of nature set aright. Then, once the balance was redressed, the ancients offered up a further sacrifice to heal the ravages of the final days. Lives sprouted anew, and it was those fledgling souls they intended to render unto Zodiac a trade that would have allowed them to resurrect the shades of loved ones absorbed by the primal. Or might have, had Vanette and her followers not manifested their opposition in the form of Heidel. Thank you, both of you, for the detailed review. I feel much more confident now in my understanding of events. With all that freshly in mind, it does make me wonder about the Telophoroi truly mean when they speak of bringing back the final days. We've seen what they're doing with those towers of theirs. Is forcing people to summon primals as a kind of catalyst? Are they attempting to mirror the conditions caused by unstable creation magics? Or are they simply using the final days as a figure of speech? Convenient metaphor for the scale of destruction they plan to unleash. But this is all just powerless conjecture at this stage. Let's return to our attention to the forum, shall we? I mean, I'd have thought that they were just trying to take out the star by constantly summoning, which would drain the land of ether. Should keep an eye out for Ishtola, but it is about time we begin studying these research papers. Waiting here yet again. This is the third time this day. And the last, am I? Well, an extended search of the Archon stacks produced one or two possibly useful books. I wouldn't get your hopes up. If you recall, Urianger learned of the source's reflections from the Dragoon oracles. For its potential to cause panic and confusion, that tome was deemed apocrypha and sealed away in the Great Kubal Library. It is even less likely that the knowledge of the unsundered world, not to mention the horrors of the final days, will be left sitting on a shelf for any curious scholars to find. It stands to reason that my colleagues, be they archons or councillors, should perforce be largely ignorant of the subject. When you confronted Master Fochneau with knowledge of the Telophroi and the machinations, he scoffed at the suggestion that they might be posed as a threat. He seemed adamant that the Forum would know if the final days were truly upon us, which only supports the conclusion that whatever privileged wisdom is guiding the Forum's behaviour is being kept secret from the rest of the nation. Not that I mean to excuse myself from reading duty, whether they contain mention of the final days or no. These books could yet hold something of value. You weren't thinking of leaving, were you? There's plenty of work for everyone. Don't laugh at me crying. You labour for what feels like an age as a Stoller's research assistant. Oh god. Well, there's certainly worse first. Dear, you look exhausted. What about your studies? You able to find any books on the subject I mentioned? The day was well spent. Should you wish to read them again, a man at the reference desk will be able to point you in the right direction. For the moment, though, I suggest you take a well-deserved rest. We might be occupied with our research for quite some time. Ready for a tea break? I know I am. I'll just say my neck and shoulders are going to calcify if I don't stretch my legs and walk around for a bit. You know the last stand down in the harbour, don't you? Come. You meet near the outside tables. I'll treat you to their coffee. It's quite good. Well, that's close enough, isn't it? As busy as ever, I see. How very Shallian that no other gourmet cafe has sprung up to compete for customers. Actually, this crowd gives me an idea. Before we place an order, why don't we ask a few questions and gauge the mood of the city? I'm interested to hear what the average citizen has to say about the Telophroi. Might even learn something new. Worth a try, don't you think? Alice is now accompanying you. Keep her to your side in order to proceed over the question. Don't really need to read this. Wait, what? What is it? Can a man not enjoy a moment of private respite? If you're looking to share a table, then I respectfully request that you look elsewhere. You misunderstand, sir. We were simply wondering if... Oh. You misunderstand, sir. We were simply wondering if you knew of the Telophroi. These enemies of peace have promised to end all we hold dear and... Wait, you're that House Levier girl, aren't you? This man with you is obviously a foreigner. I'd heard you were disowned for helping outsiders indulge in their barbaric whims, and here you are, giving truth to the rumour. I'll thank you to leave me be. I've not said the likes of you. Well, I must apologise. It was foolish of me to expect an ounce of civility from one so enlightened. Come, Samtity. Yeah, no worries, Ruth. Yes, I don't believe I've had the pleasure. Pray excuse the interruption, but we were hoping you might share your thoughts on the Telofra and their unconscionable plans. My goodness, if it isn't the young Miss Livier. My apologies, but I work in the offices of the Forum. If word reached Master Fortunel that I was helping you. I see. We're sorry to have bothered you. Welcome, sir. What can I offer you today? Wait, is that Mr. Salazar say then? My word, how long has it been? Far too long. Meet Dickon, the owner of the Last Stand. I used to frequent his cafe on occasion, in between lessons at the stadium. That seems like an age ago now. I remember hearing you and Master Elfino had set sail for Eosia, and you never came back. Lately there's been gossip about your father disowning the pair of you. Everything alright at home? It's complicated. I hadn't expected complete strangers to be so familiar with our situation quite so quickly. Everyone has an opinion, it seems. Well, it is House Olivia. No matter how discreet Master Fortunel may have been, news of your family's doings never stays secret for long. Things being what they are, what brings you back to the city now of all times? We have questions, and only Shallians has the answers. Tell me, Master Dickon, have you heard anything about the apocalypse called the Final Days? Well, like the end of the world. Nothing like that, I'm afraid. And that's what you're here to find, is it? Information of this apocalypse? Yes, whatever we can learn. Unfortunately, your patrons appear to be unwilling to speak with me. Wish there were more I could do to help. Maybe there is. You're a visitor in Shallian, aren't you? A few will know you first. Should be able to pass you off as a server with none the wiser. We just finished preparing a few orders, strike up friendly conversation while you're setting down food. Might just get the answers you're looking for. Not a bad idea. I hate to ask, but what do you think? I don't like it, don't make me do it. That's a spirit. Pay attention now, and I'll explain where each of these dishes needs to go. The tea is for the chatty group sitting at the water's edge. The omelette is for one of our regulars, a Highlander by the name of Gisla. She's sitting at an outside table with a friend of hers. Behind them you should see a Mikote gentleman. He owes an oven-baked lobster. Got that? If you're not sure, just ask and I'll explain again. Good luck. I kinda dropped the accent for that guy, didn't I? Right. So this was tea. Oh my! Oh, my tea set. Lovely, thank you. Telefo. I'm sorry, I've never heard of them or their final days. My friends and I are somewhat uninformed when it comes to current events. Now if you wanted to hear about the ritual arcane practices of the Six Umbral era, common or esoteric, I'd be happy to talk your ear off. This one was the omelette. Ah, finally, 2, 4, 6, 8. Let's dig in, there's no time to waste. What? The Telophoroi? Ah, yes, I remember seeing that name in the latest Gazette. That and some grand claim about the end of days. Same old senseless warmongering. All these fools grow tired of spilling each other's blood. Best stay out of it, I say. The Forum made the right choice, now I fully support our decision to remain neutral. Lobster. Alas, the oven-baked lobster is mine. You have no idea how long I've scrimped and saved and suffered to afford this heavenly dish. Final days, first I've heard of it. Although that would explain why my friend has been rushed off his feet. Must be a busy time to be a gleaner. You don't know what a gleaner is? They're collectors of the soul. Travel the world procuring things that we haven't got in Shaolin. Priceless books, unusual live specimens and so forth. So named for those who trail after reports in the field, picking up every grain which was missed. Aye, by all accounts, gleaning is a most meticulous and demanding profession. These Telophoroi make good on their audacious threats, and many uncatalogued rarities could be lost forever. Why else would the gleaners be buzzing around in such a frenzy? Such a hobby, you'll see what I mean. The catting loads in from the docks all day. It's never been this hectic before. Not like this. So basically Shaolin seems to be doing what I don't remember what the city was called. The Nightborn one from WoW. Basically doing what they did, just well, the world's burning but it's fine. We're safe in a little bubble. Any trouble with the customers? Are you able to get anyone talking? Interesting. They seem to be unaware of the final days, aside from whatever vague news the gazettes are printing. Even Dickon had nothing to offer. And he's the best source of gossip in the city. The Forum does have secret knowledge, and they've done an impressive job to ensure no one whispers it in the wrong ear. In any case, thank you for playing the part so well. Here, that cup of coffee I promised. Well, let's enjoy our drink somewhere else, shall we? Maybe behind the peristyle, away from the gossips and the wagging tongues. Yes, that should do nicely. Out of the wind and out of sight.
When our father disowned us, I couldn't believe what I was hearing. It wasn't until much later that his words began to sink in, that I began to feel the weight of what it meant. Do you remember when the decision was made to come to Shaolin? Graham said that the Forum was determined to keep us in the dark, and that Father's venomous performance was part of that strategy, to keep us at arm's length. Perhaps it was. Father argued with Grandfather on many occasions, but never with such dismissive contempt. And when he demanded what justifies the sacrifices we make in war, I honestly didn't know what to say. Neither did Alpha know, I know, but never for one moment did I believe we had made the wrong choice. So all I could do was fume silently. It was only afterwards that I realized how childish I had been. How being stubborn and self-righteous must run in the family. If I could have just mustered a civil response, then things might have turned out differently.
It's a bit weird.
They must be ferrying goods to Labyrinthos.
The Huthmanu?
A vast complex beneath the island.
You got one that turned purple? I've never actually seen one turn purple. Mine are always like either a faint blue, white, or well, yellow.
Sharlayan is famous for archiving knowledge from around the world. Well, that knowledge is not preserved exclusively in dusty tomes and desiccated samples.
Yeah, Ruth, I know what you mean. I'm just...
Our living library, comprised of all manner of flora and fauna, is housed and studied within that underground facility. Still, that did seem to be an unusually large shipment. When I lived here, it was rare to even see such cargo transported by boat. Wait! Didn't you hear something in the last stand about the gleaners coming and going more than usual? Well, I think they're the ones we saw manning those boats. And gleaners answer to the forum. If the appearance of the Telophoroi prompted this sudden burst of activity, then Labyrinthos may hold a clue as to what the Forum is planning.
Please tell me we're not about to go for a swim. Yeah, Ruth, that's how it does work. That is precisely the kind of game that you're playing. That's ways to catch a game. It's not just a, oh, play this game, you'll get characters straight away. Should tell the others what we've learned out of the Gleaners. Going ahead to Numenor. I'll join you in a moment. Master Dickon will be wanting his cups back. Got an easy route back there, that's fine. Usually just a cycle of being really hopeful and getting really sad. Welcome back. Been for a walk and cleared your head, have you? No, exactly. We did some impromptu investigating and turned up some information on the Gleaners. Basically, there's been more activity of late. Lots more. We even saw like 5 boats. Makes sense. The Gleaners take their requests directly from institutions and bureaucrats, but as you say, they ultimately answer to the Forum. A sudden and significant increase in Gleaner traffic and in cargo, it certainly gives the impression of an overarching plan being put into motion. Let's see what theory we can build from the facts. There's no point getting mad over it, Ruth. You probably have like a 5% chance of actually getting like a character. Like probably a 2.5% chance of getting a rare character. Yeah, if you're having a bad day anyway, it's best not to do the wishes. Just, you know, collect your wish thingies and just leave them. As Ishtola observed earlier, Numenon's archives appear to contain no information concerning the final days. Coupled with what Sam Tadinalze learned on the last stand, we can be reasonably sure that most Shalians know nothing about the particular period of ancient history. Yet my father and his colleagues are not only familiar with the final days, but are also somehow certain that the destruction being perpetrated by the Telophoroi is wholly unlike those apocalyptic events. Moreover, the Forum claims to be so occupied by a duty which of such pressing importance that they saw fit to unanimously deny Eosia's request for aid. And now the Gleaners, official agents of the state, have been mobilized on an unprecedented scale. I do not think it a stretch to conclude that the Gleaners' recent activities are in service to the Forum's secret ends. In which case, our next course of action seems obvious. We visit Labyrinthos and assess the situation for ourselves, and if we're lucky, the Gleaners will be far more receptive to our questions. What should we expect down there? Oh, I would hate to spoil the surprise. That is really helpful, Crow. As for myself, there are a few more subjects I should like to research. I may join you later, but feel free to leave behind your borrowed books. Be on your way. I'll see to it that each is returned to its proper place. That would be a great help. Thank you, Raha. Let's head down the stairs over there. I'll show you where the entrance is. Right, let's have this one. Ready? Labyrinthos is not far from here, but you may find the path a bit disorienting. I'll take the lead, so stay close. Off we go then. Oh, I thought you were going to be running. Pleasant here. We should really be moving along. Not going to start running? No? I don't want to RP walk my way there. Hey, now we run. Try to keep up. Keep to the path, straight ahead. Cross the bridge. up here. Alistair, you do realise I have eyes, right? You just have to run there and I'll follow. To Rostra, not far now. Here we are, through the door and down the stairs. Do you remember to attune to the shard back there? You did remember to attune to the shard back there, didn't you? It'll make your life so much easier when you need to come back in a hurry. Otherwise, we should keep moving. I mean, I didn't really want to risk it, you know. It says I'm not allowed to fall too far behind. I imagine, like, that sort of distance would be too far. I should actually check after this, like how far I am from getting the next group of wish things. All here now, yes? I've taken the liberty of securing the permissions for our group's descent. Right, everyone on that left and we'll go.
Deep beneath the scholar's city shines a false sun within a fabricated sky. In any age exist those who consider the floor an extension of their bookshelves, and this vault's architects surely belonged to that special breed. If the stack grows too high, start a new one. If no room remains, then make more rooms. A simple solution at first, and then bit by bit, a profound transformation. Knowledge buried beneath knowledge, a growing, creeping labyrinth from which there is no escape.
Yeah, like I said earlier, they've essentially just got a survival dome down here.
Not what you expected. I must admit, the artifice is very convincing. But I assure you that we are beneath Sharlayan itself. The breeze you feel, the flowing waters you hear, all created by the hand of man.
The island is volcanic, you see, and once upon a time this great hollow must have been a reservoir for magma. It was discovered some 400 years ago, at which point it was repurposed as a storage facility for scrolls and samples and such. Renovations have continued, with nigh on no interruption to this day, with the lower levels still undergoing expansion.
Aren't those people gleaners?
Aye, judging by their dress. They are said to work alone as a rule, but 'twould seem that rule is being enthusiastically broken today. It may be as you suspected, that they are engaged in a task apart from the norm.
Let's spread out and get some answers then.
You alright there, Crow?
Did you call to me just now? No. How odd. I must be a bit dizzy from the descent. I'll be fine, I'm sure. Let's get to work, shall we?
I guess it can rain in here. That's a pretty handy thing. It's like they tried to make some music by just poking crickets. Here to help or give me more headache. If you don't have the look of a gleaner, I'm in the no mood for idle chatter. One of my colleagues was so exhausted he took a tumble and crashed into a pile of crates. Now I have to pack of mammoths running loose. Our exchange with Erenville has taught you about exhausted gleaners. Poor fellers. By the way, let me think. The research should be item 1058. Can you see it's 1059? Snapple 160. Oh, they were 1061. Ah, man, it feels like it's stuffed with Moko grass. What more load to take out and carry in? Why do all this at once and risk mixing it up? Someone mistakes a Kurthan carrots for Dirabanian carrots. What then? Yes, what then? Want to know what I'm doing? All in books and all, and fauna. If it needs all in, I all it. Every decade or so. I take stock in labyrinthos, you know. So I tidy up the inventory. Never seen an operation like this before though. Just did one a few summers ago even. Then, with no warning at all, this mess gets dropped on our laps. Orders from an eye. Damned if I know the reason. Could be the change in the layout, eh? Preparing the next big expansion. Yeah, possible, but probably not. Let's be honest, probably not. Hey, look. Tell us that the gleaners have to tell. I hope I don't need to talk to Dobbins again, because this voice kind of hurt me through it a little bit. So, the grand operation began without warning. For every item they bring in, they're sending in more inventory somewhere else. That will explain the haggard face I've been seeing. You were right. The Forum is definitely up to something. They're turning Labyrinthos upside down in the process. Do well to learn more of what specifically the Gleaners are being tasked to do, as well as who has tasked them to do it. If your game's empty, I have an idea. Can one of the Gleaners you question say something about escaped mammoths? Perhaps if you were to help him capture said creatures, he might be inclined to towards a more friendly and enlightening conversation. In the meantime, I will turn my charms upon the Gleaners here. We can compare notes afterwards. Happy hunting! Right, I know there's a mammoth on top of at least one of these boxes. Oh. I guess I'll go around and capture those after I've had a word with them. You shortly found the mammoths. I have nothing suitable to pay you for your services, but if you're offering out of the goodness of your heart, Be welcome of the assistance. Name's Aaronville, friend. Specialist in the collection of live specimens. As said, capture these next-gen mammoths is a trial I have no desire to repeat. Grizzled mice, they call them. For mercy, there are no other mammoth species on the tier of on this tier at present. There should be no mistaking our little fugitives. If you happen to catch any, stuff them in this sack. Gently, of course. Where to begin, you wonder? They'll say scampering around here, so we to widen our search to the surrounding forest. Be on your guard. There are beasts out there. I won't hesitate to prey on a mammoth. Or you. I'll search the trees to the west. The eastern part of the forest is all yours. Good luck. You know, I was wondering, like, why would you have fair enough. Like, if you were to create like a utopia, why would you put monsters in there? Just threaten the life of all your people. But it might be something to keep the well, it might be something like an ecosystem thing. Yeah, just make sure that... Oh, I didn't even mean to press that one. I saw it shine up as a bright and fancy ability. Chirp, squeak. Barely if you're ready to sack when the grizzled mouse scampers off into the underbrush. I don't know what these are for. What are you? What are you? I think I saw something over here that looked a bit purplish. I could be completely wrong. Yep, I am completely wrong. Ain't nothing here but us chickens. There we go, that looks like it. Squeak. Squeaky squeak. Squeak. The rodent nimbly evades your grasp once before once more disappearing into the trees. You know, I don't know why Final Fantasy hurts my throat as much as it does. Because I've had plenty of shifts at McDonald's where I was talking about this much anyway. So we've had times when it's like been weeks of like really busy, like it's been like a crap ton of orders, and you're talking almost constantly. And then there'll be a bit where you go on a break for like 45 minutes. And then it's back to talking. And that's like what? Say around 2:10, that's 2 bouts of 4 hours. Well, 1 bout of 4 hours, 1 bout of like 3 1/4. Chirp. Squeak, squeak. More prepared for its speed this time, you succeed in closing the sack over your elusive quarry. Pardon me. I want to know why these are like exuding ether. Is exuding the right word? Look like they're emitting ether. Like there's a mist. Yes, that's a bunny boy. How did you fare? I tracked down 3 of the pack, which they sworn and accounted for. Ah, that's a mammoth. That's the odd mammoth out. Wait here a moment while I put our friends in the holding cage. Thankfully, the mammoths seem to be unharmed. They've held up well in isolation, but it's too soon to release them into the habitat. It's a good thing we were able to recapture them so swiftly. You have my thanks. Who tasked you to capture them in the first place? Why, the authority in charge of the Labyrinthos, now and in perpetuity. The same officials who have had us working day and night of late. The honourable members of the forum, who else? Suitable for consumption and easy to breed. Those were 2 conditions I was given for the stock I was instructed to procure. I don't know what the forum has planned for these creatures, but at the very least, I doubt they'll be served for dinner today or tomorrow. There you are. Is this the cleaner you mentioned? The one who was looking for lost mammoths? Interesting company you keep, friend. Who are you folk, anyway? I'm Kryle, of the students of Baldessian. The others are my associates. Truth be told, the forum's decision of late have not set entirely well with us. That's why we've made the descent into the Labyrinthos. We hope that by seeing those decisions put into action, we might more understand their reasoning. Wise and practical. Never hurts to try and gain a broader perspective, does it? Anyway, duty calls. Other animals to capture and enclosures to empty. Once again, I'm sorry I can't offer you more for your services. Catch you later, dude. Good luck. Did you learn anything new from your friend there? So we've confirmed that the order for this ambiguous operation did indeed come directly from the forum. However, the Gleaners have not been informed of its purpose. I'd say that fits with everything we've heard thus far. We also discovered that when the operation was begun, the forum contacted the Gleaners Guild ship and put their people to this great work some 4 days after the Telofroi made their chilling declaration. As seasoned travellers, the Gleaners keep abreast of news from every corner of the globe, out of necessity. Thus, I am inclined to trust that the calendar of events is accurate. Altogether, this gives a distinct impression that this undertaking was sudden and unexpected development. Yet I find it hard to believe that such a comprehensive restructuring of Labyrinthos and its archives could have been planned for in so brief a window. Nay, this plan was long in the making. They were but awaiting the right time to put it into effect. And that Lefroy's declaration of war set that in motion? It seems likely, but let's not leap to conclusions just yet. For the moment, I suggest we conduct a wider investigation of Labyrinthos. The more facilities we visit, the more pieces of the puzzle we can stand to find. In that case, how about we head to the Archeon? From there we can reach the lower... Kyle, what's wrong? Fine, truly. The sudden descent has left me with a bit of a headache, that's all. Nothing that will stop me from soldiering on. Let's be about it then. This allow me to take the lead. I'm fairly certain I remember the way to the Archeon. Follow the path east, through the forest where you were chasing after that mouse, or marmot, was it? Anyway, it is the trolls you need to watch out for. That crow's alright. It's like something's triggering a echo. And another update. I don't believe mine had an update. Hey, I think I'm only going to go till 6 today. Just because, I don't know, I guess I'm getting old because, all this talking's starting to hurt my throat. Behold, the Archeon. As Numnon serves as Charlene's literary archive, so does this structure the house's city's wealth of material data. The architecture, too, is similar. This building you see is merely the upper entrance, an access point to the vaults carved into the cliffside itself. Within those vast rooms are stored countless samples and specimens, as well as detailed records which describe them. In a manner of speaking, the Archeon contains a physical memory of Charlene's unwavering dedication to the accumulation of knowledge. Well, we won't learn anything of value standing out here. Let us proceed to the main building and speak with the custodian. Actually, given the feel of my throat at the moment, I might call it here. I might just have it as a 2-hour one today. Because the last thing I want to do is risk causing damage. And with it already feeling kind of bad, it might just be a good plan to stop there. No, Cammy, it's not even sleepy, it's just my throat's starting to hurt, so it's probably a good idea to stop now before I actually risk damaging my throat. But yeah, I believe Stan is playing Dying Light 2. So I shall send you over that way. Just have a short one today. But yeah, I shall catch you next time. Oh, tomorrow, sorry about the clap there, I felt I needed to do it. Tomorrow we are playing Sucker for Love, which is a Lovecraftian dating sim, which kind of exciting, kind of weird. You know, we'll just roll with that weird horror dating sim. But yeah, I shall catch you next time. Thank you for watching, thank you for lurking, and as always, bye now.